Social responsiveness refers to an organization's capacity to recognize, evaluate, and respond effectively to changing social expectations, stakeholder pressures, and emerging societal issues. While corporate social responsibility, CSR, focuses on an organization's obligations toward society, social responsiveness concerns how management reacts to those obligations in practice. It reflects the organization's willingness and ability to adapt its policies, governance systems, operational processes, and strategic decisions in response to social concerns. Within the program, social responsiveness is regarded as a critical governance capability because organizations increasingly operate in environments where public expectations regarding ethics, sustainability, environmental stewardship, diversity, and corporate accountability continue to evolve. The framework defines social responsiveness as the capacity of the corporation to respond to social pressure and the manner in which it does so, emphasizing that governance effectiveness depends not only on recognizing responsibilities but also on implementing appropriate organizational responses. Social responsiveness has become increasingly important because organizations face growing scrutiny from governments, regulators, institutional investors, employees, customers, non-governmental organizations, social media, and wider society. Modern stakeholders expect organizations to address environmental sustainability, labor rights, climate change, product safety, human rights, data privacy, diversity and inclusion, and responsible supply chain management. Failure to respond appropriately may expose organizations to reputational damage, legal penalties, consumer boycotts, shareholder activism, and declining investor confidence. Consequently, strategic leaders must continuously monitor stakeholder expectations and adapt organizational behavior to maintain legitimacy and long-term competitive advantage. The program explains social responsiveness through Carroll's 4 strategic responses, which describe alternative organizational approaches to social responsibility. These responses represent increasing levels of commitment to stakeholder interests and corporate accountability, ranging from complete denial of responsibility to proactive leadership in social performance. Understanding these strategic responses enables managers to evaluate governance quality and assess whether organizational behavior supports sustainable value creation and stakeholder trust. The first response is reaction, where the organization denies any responsibility for social issues and rejects claims that its activities create wider social obligations. Under this approach, management typically focuses exclusively on legal compliance and shareholder returns while resisting pressure from stakeholders concerning environmental protection, employee welfare, or community impact. Organizations adopting a reactive strategy often argue that social problems should be addressed by governments rather than corporations. Although this approach may minimize short-term costs, it creates significant reputational and regulatory risks in increasingly socially conscious markets. As stakeholder expectations evolve, purely reactive organizations may struggle to maintain legitimacy and competitive positioning. The second response is defense, where the corporation admits some responsibility but seeks to resist or minimize its obligations. Defensive organizations typically comply with minimum legal requirements while attempting to limit additional commitments or costs associated with social responsibility initiatives. Management may challenge criticism, defend existing practices, or implement only those improvements necessary to avoid regulatory intervention or reputational damage. While defensive strategies demonstrate greater awareness than reactive approaches, they remain primarily compliance-oriented and may fail to satisfy increasingly demanding stakeholder expectations regarding sustainability and responsible governance. The third response is accommodation, under which the corporation accepts responsibility and does what stakeholders require or expect. Accommodation reflects a more collaborative governance philosophy in which management recognizes stakeholder legitimacy and implements policies consistent with prevailing social expectations. Organizations adopting this approach respond positively to regulatory developments, customer concerns, employee expectations, and community interests while seeking to maintain stakeholder trust and organizational legitimacy. Accommodation typically includes investment in environmental management systems, employee welfare programs, ethical sourcing, community engagement, and sustainability reporting. Although largely responsive rather than innovative, this approach supports stronger stakeholder relationships and improved organizational reputation. The highest level of social responsiveness is proaction, where the corporation actively seeks to exceed industry norms and lead social responsibility initiatives. Proactive organizations anticipate emerging social issues before regulatory intervention becomes necessary and voluntarily adopt innovative governance practices that create long-term value for both business and society. Such organizations invest in sustainable technologies, carbon reduction initiatives, ethical supply chain management, diversity programs, responsible innovation, and transparent ESG reporting as strategic priorities rather than compliance obligations. According to the framework, proactive corporations go beyond industry standards by integrating social responsibility into corporate strategy and organizational culture. Social responsiveness has evolved into an important source of sustainable competitive advantage. Organizations demonstrating proactive responsiveness often experience stronger stakeholder loyalty, improved employer branding, greater innovation capability, reduced regulatory risk, enhanced investor confidence, and superior long-term financial performance. Social responsiveness therefore complements corporate governance by enabling organizations to anticipate stakeholder concerns, adapt strategically to societal change, and strengthen organizational resilience in dynamic business environments.